Hey guys, what's going on? It is transfer deadline day. We have an hour here. I'm just about to turn on my Sky Sports on my Xbox so that I can see what's going on. Right. Okay, let's turn that down. Right, let's see what we've got. Welcome everybody. I hope you guys are enjoying this deadline day, and I'm just having to reboot my system so I can find out what's going on. Neomis, how you going, bro?
I'm doing very well, very, very well. Transfer deadline day doesn't seem the same when I'm on this side of the world. Transfer deadline day is normally like Christmas for football fans because you just never know what you're gonna get, and it's all a bit of fun. Um,
But I
but
tell
I
you, I tell you what though, Christmas came.
That's true. That's true. Christmas did come early for Arsenal. And you know what? It's worked out for us very nicely. And I know we're probably going to go into it, but I do like the last minute gift that Arsenal were trying to get, especially after the Villa game. So yeah.
Yeah, it's look, this club's got ambition. I don't think there's any. I don't think there's a single fan out there that would even question the fact that we don't have any ambition. It's quite clear that we're just trying to get through the season because we learned a lesson from last season, and that was that we just couldn't get it done. Guys, sorry, I'm a bit short breath. I've had a really rough 3 days. Didn't do a game vlog yesterday, and I'm just struggling with my breath, with my lungs at the moment. So bear with me if you hear me coughing or anything like that. Excuse me for that. But let me say big shout out to 18, big shout out to Jerome, big shout out to Gary. What's going on, all of you guys? Thanks for joining us.
Evening, one on
And
one.
all of you guys on Facebook. Yes, Facebook is working again. We finally have Facebook working again after what must feel like a lifetime. So, hello to everybody on Twitter. Hey to everybody on Facebook. G, I haven't seen you in a while. Good to see you, bro. Good to see. So, guys, before we talk about Deadline Daily, and they just now picking up Aubameyang. Sky Sports are picking up Aubameyang in
He's going to
Chelsea in
Chelsea.
Sloane Square. Yeah, on Sky Sports News,
He's going to
and
Chelsea. Okay.
yeah, and he's walking into a hotel in Chelsea. Um, Now he couldn't even talk. So what's the strange thing about that, guys? Here's the joke. The strange thing about
Oh
that one,
yes.
guys, is yeah, Vincey. What's going on, Vincey? I have sent Vincey an invite to come into the stream if he wants. And the strange thing about this one is the Sky Sports guys put the microphone to Bamian's, face to talk, and the guy's got a broken jaw.
For what?
Now, how
Yeah.
many
Like,
words?
what's the point?
How much words do you expect him to say when he's got a broken jaw? It's crazy. So guys, listen, I
But you
just
know what?
want to
Right.
go. Sorry, go on.
before you before you go into that, like I hope prayers go out to his family for that because when I read about it yesterday, that's a scary thing,
Yeah,
and seeing was it what Xhaka, Kolasinac, when they got attacked about in their car, and that's these people are crazy.
yeah. And the one thing I want to cover off, guys, quickly before we go into transfer deadline daily was yesterday's win. Absolutely fantastic win at the Emirates. It seems to be that the crowd. I mean, I said to Tom today when Fulham scored. Normally in the Emirates, you don't hear anything. You just hear the crowd in a somber, you know, booing the other team. But you just heard the Emirates just explode. I mean, it just they cheered, they clapped, and it was something the players. I think I've only ever seen it once, and that was when we were 2-0 down to Tottenham when we beat them 5-2. And that's when I saw the crowd just go, "Come on, guys, pick it up, let's go, let's go." And yesterday when I saw that, I was like, this stadium right here is the place to be. This is where it's at. And can you imagine? Just close your eyes and just imagine that you're one of those players that you've just let a goal in. You know, the momentum's been swinging to Villa. You're not playing well. It's 1-1, There's 16 minutes to go. You've thrown it away because God knows how many chances you've wasted, and then your fans who have paid to come and see you stand up in their chairs, scream and shout, clap their hands, and urge you on. That must be an amazing feeling.
It was just brilliant just to see. It's like over here, I watched it on this app called Fubo TV, and they panned to the crowd, and you just saw like so many sections of the crowd, like them just being so behind the team, and I don't think I've seen that level in a long time at Arsenal. Like you said, it might be specific games, it might be a North London derby or like a really special game, but just to see a game against Aston Villa, I think it's all rallied the fans to just to go and back the team. So, really good.
Excellent, guys. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cover off our ratings for yesterday. Tony and Gary and the guys, they did their ratings here. You might find a little bit of a little bit of different taste here, but here's my ratings for Villa's game, and I'm going to go through them. Ramsdale, I'm going to give him a 6. He hardly had anything to do in the first half, but one's got to feel. I know some people are being hard on him because of the goal, but guys, did the Arsenal players and the set piece team not watch Match of the Day last week? Did they not see that Villa and Diaz, Luiz would do that to you on a corner? It was shocking, and he got swamped. And the rules are, if you look at the rule books, guys, and we're just going by the rule books, so this is no bias. If you are blocking a goalkeeper in a set piece, and then you move to block him again, you're impeding the goalkeeper, and that's a free kick. And that's exactly what Aston Villa did. And it was VAR, and they still allowed the goal. So somewhere along the line, that should not be allowed because they broke the rules. If you're standing at a place and impeding the goalkeeper, you have to be still. If you're following the goalkeeper, sort of blocking him and moving, that's a foul. And we can all clearly see that that's what happened. So it should never have been a goal anyway. But he just looked swamped by the whole thing. And yeah, I'm just going to give him a 6, and I can't really say anything more about it. Some people are saying that it was his fault, but by the book, guys, that shouldn't have been allowed. Ben White, another solid display from Ben White. I mean, guys, back-to-back games, this guy's not putting a foot wrong. He's not putting a foot wrong. So I don't really know what to say, guys. I mean, he's played there before. He's had 6 games for Brighton at right back before. So it's not, we're talking about a Callum Chambers type player here where you can just flood into the middle and roll out onto the side. And he looked good. And not just that, but he's starting to get forward more and help out the front line. And that is an asset, especially when Saka's been struggling of late. Saliba, I'm going to give him a solid 7. Another solid performance. Again, I don't think he put a foot wrong in the game, but he just didn't do anything spectacular, which is why you don't see him with an 8 or anything like that. Gabriel, again, similar to Saliba, I'm going to give him a 7. Very commanding. He didn't look itsy like he looked in the last few games. He looked a little bit more assured. Tierney, I'm going to give a 6. And guys, I'm being generous. I clearly don't think that he is the player that is better than Zinchenko in this system. And I did see him try to get forward in the number 8 position a couple of times yesterday, but to no avail. To absolutely no avail. Look, man, Tierney's going to play his role in this team. We did miss him last season when he got injured, but we're just a better team now. And for me, he's a guy who's an option player and not the one that I would put at left back. But I thought he tried to apply himself well. But I looked at it yesterday and I was saying to the guys in my section, I said, look at the quality on the left-hand side with Xhaka and Tierney. And not just that, but Martinelli struggles with his final ball as well. But between the 3 of those players, the quality of balls coming into the box were awful. I mean, just we're getting next to no creativity from that side. Just the quality, just the lack of quality coming from that side. But they're trying. I mean, Martinelli was probably one of his best games this season. Xhaka, solid performance, and Tierney, serviceable. But when I'm talking about what you've shown us from the first 3 or so games with Zinchenko, those guys are like levels above what we saw last night. And I'll come on to Martinelli later on, but I just want to say with Tierney, he's just a serviceable guy. By no means would he be my first choice at left back. Xhaka, I'm going to give a 6.5. Another decent game from him. I know a lot of people say his passing was erratic in the first half, giving the ball away 3 times, but in the second half, he got more into the game and he was involved in a link there. And I do like the fact that when they push him up in the number 8 role, it takes him away from the midfield where we know he can be a car crash. And I saw one thing from him yesterday that I do have to point out because no one else has. Xhaka was going into a direct one-on-one duel where normally he would have two-footed the tackle. And what he did yesterday is he used his brain and he pulled out of it. And when he did that, I was like, what? Because before the guy he'd have been sent off, it'd have been a red card. It was an inviting ball. Ball was in the middle. 2 players were running into it. And you could see that someone was going to stick their foot out and Xhaka just pulled out of it. Now, I just thought that was being smart. So, look, keeping him away from the midfield role is keeping him out of trouble. And so far it's working. So I just want to say that's all I can say with Xhaka. Lokonga, I'm going to go to Sambi before I go to Saka. Lokonga, one of his best games for Arsenal, and many people are giving him man of the match. He probably is, I would say, I'm going to change this. Because I thought Martinelli deserved joint man of the match. So I'm going to bump Martinelli up as well. I thought it was a standout game by him. And I was surprised. I'm going back to my preview when I mentioned he should start. I'm surprised not a lot of the fan base actually supported that. Everyone, when El Nene was out, everybody said, oh, we got to go and buy another player now. I was like, whoa. Didn't this guy just have the best preseason of his life? There's 3 goals, 1 assist, playing the number 8 role, but in the number 6. Let's not forget that he was balling last year, had 2 man of the matches, and then they pulled him off because Xhaka came back from injury. And he was quite upset about that, and rightly so, because he didn't deserve to be dropped. And we all saw how that played out on All or Nothing when he sat there on the table and he was complaining, he was moping, and Eddie Nketiah just said, shut up. He said, we're all on the bench. We're all struggling. We all want to play. You're not the only one. So keep your chin up and just get on with it. And it was nice that Eddie Nketiah said that. Eddie just slapped 2 cents into Sambi. But yesterday just showed exactly what everybody's missing from this guy. He is he's intelligent. He's super intelligent. He's good with the ball. Some of the long passes he was playing in the first half was tremendous in terms of his range. Just such a quality. And I don't want this to be a player that gets sent off to Marseille on loan. I don't want that to happen. Saka, guys. Actually, no, I'm going to save Saka. Odegaard, another excellent performance. Leads by example. It wasn't a standout game from him, but it was a solid game, and he was the best player on the pitch in the first half. So it just goes to show you what commitment it is from this guy. I'm going to give Saka a 7. And I'm going to tell you why. I thought it was his best game this season. It wasn't an elite game. Yeah, look at the score. He only gets a 7. But it's a show that, look, it's the second game in a row now that he's had an assist. So he has 2 assists back-to-back. He led the team with 5 dribbles. I talked to you guys about he's not running at the defense enough. And he had 5 dribbles yesterday, showing that he's willing to take people on. And that's part of the reason why I was getting into him. Because I was like, what's this guy doing? His head ain't right. Yesterday, I saw him as a committed player and thought he played very well. And I'm going to give him a 7. And look, let's hope he can build on that performance as well. Jesus, another superb display from him. Anticipated the goal. Fantastic energy, massive commitment. Just a warrior on the front line, and just another great display from him. And I'm going to give him an 8. Martinelli is my joint man of the match, and I have to say, guys, um, yes, his final ball is sloppy and wasteful. We get it, we get it. But this guy, he doesn't lose commitment on the defensive end. He backtracks twice yesterday. He lost the ball in possession and won it back. Who does that? Who loses a ball to a defender and then runs back and wins it back and then maintains possession for the field? And he's doing that consistently. Not just that, but although his final ball was and his crossing, we know is leaves a lot to be desired, but it was his shot that led towards the goal, um, and it was his shot that it was his cross that led to the chance that Saka had when Saka missed an open goal, and then he was there for the winning goal as well. So you have to put that into context. Everything is about context, guys, and I thought he deserved joint player of the, man of the match. So great, fantastic, and he took the goal so well. He was able to keep the ball down. Whereas when you saw Saka run onto it, Saka had no control over it whatsoever and missed the target and open goal. And I'm going to give Arteta a 9 because this guy is preparing his team every game. I haven't really seen them come out in a terrible rain. Yes, they've not been as sharp as they was before in the first half. But guys, they're missing a ton of players through injuries, and it's getting worse. The injuries are starting to rack up. And if there's only one thing I can criticize him for is he's not getting the Nketiah on the field fast enough. But outside of that, Arteta is 5 wins in his first 5 games. And if Arsenal win on Sunday against Man United, it would only be the second time in our history that we've ever won our first 6 games. So at some point, you're going to have to put your tools down and give Arteta pure cureness. Guys, my lungs, I am absolutely exhausted. So I'm going to hand this over now to Neomis. But before I do, I want to say hello to Vincey. Vincey, how are you doing? You're on silent.
That's probably a good thing because I was talking nonsense. What's going on, family, man? It's all good. I'm just arguing from yesterday on. So just good to be here with Neomis and the family. And Apollo, I'm here to make sure that you don't overtalk. Okay, so just let Neomis and myself just do a lot of the talking because your health is more important right now.
I hear you, bro. Yeah, Neomis.
All right. Well, listen, right. I really enjoyed the game. I thought the game was going to be a competitive game. I think when I did my predictions, I think this one I called as a draw. I thought it'd be a 1-1 draw because I genuinely thought it'd be a close game. But like the fact that Arsenal powered their way to get that win, like for me, again, it's another impressive performance. In terms of ratings, for me, Ramsdale. Now, from the tail end of last season, like I think Ramsdale has dropped slightly, and this is one of those games because most of the time I would have given Ramsdale a 7 for most of the 7s and 8s. I'm probably going to give him a 6.5 since I thought he had a solid-ish game, but I did feel like a lot of people that he could have done a better job to probably position himself better. And whilst we've started the stream, I've gone back and taken a look at the highlights and watched that, and I could honestly say that, like, yeah, I just felt that he hasn't been quite as good as he was last season, but still, I still think that he's put in a good, solid performance. The defensive line, Ben White, Gabriel, Saliba, and Tierney. Now, I don't think Tierney was as bad as what Apollo's been saying, but I felt that all of them were pretty solid. So for me, I would give all of them a 7. Definitely, I think there's areas for improvement, but for me, Villa was always going to be a tough one. But I thought that all of our defenders did a great job. I think Ben White again been played out of position, again putting in another good performance. I don't know how Tomiyasu is going to get back in right now because Tomiyasu for me is my guy. Like him and Gabriel last season for me, like, were our two best defenders. And now with the injuries, like how do you fit him in? Like maybe we should kind of redeploy Ben White as a DM. I saw Apollo had a poll on that earlier on this week. But Ben White probably needs to be in the squad, but we shouldn't forget Tomiyasu, Gabriel and Saliba again, just solid performance. And Tierney, he's coming back. Like I said, Idnan said he's a bit rusty, so you got to give him the benefit of the doubt. Just let him get up to speed. This is probably why Arteta started him in the game instead of Zinchenko. But for me, like I've said, since we signed Zinchenko, I expect our starting side on that left side to be Tierney, Zinchenko in the midfield, and then Martinelli up top. Because once you put Zinchenko in the midfield with Tierney a left back, that left side is on lock defensively. Absolutely on lock. There's no way that like we get exposed on that left hand side. So when even though Xhaka has been doing great, like when Zinchenko comes in that midfield, we're talking solid. Xhaka, I'd actually give a 7. Again, I thought he was really good. Again, keeping up the consistent performance. Didn't score, but I thought played pretty well. And, you can see the improvement in his game. And I think the whole, the last year has, he's been learning a lot and learning to kind of get the fans on his side. So I'll be on his side on this game, and I'll give him a 7. Saka, I'll also give a 7 as well. Got an assist. I hope this kind of slow start from him is a slow start, because I expect him to this season exceed the magic number, which is 10 and 10. 10 goals, 10 assists. He was 1 away last season in that, but he's got 2 assists so far. So I want him to kind of get back to his, success that he's been having. Sambi, I also thought played well. I prefer him to be in that 8 rather than the 6. For me, really honestly. But I still thought that he played well. So for me, I also gave him a 7. I'm not quite as high as Apollo with the 8.5, but I thought he put in a good performance. Odegaard, I also gave an 8 as well. I think another great performance, great passing, was tracking back nicely, trying to kind of create chances and open the door to create chances for the team. Jesus, I also gave an 8 as well. Like for me, scored the first goal and really just kind of a real poacher's goal, getting in the box when I thought that the potential chance for him to have wasn't going to get to him, and he just was just on it from day one. And for him to get on that was just very, very nice. And then finally, Martinelli, I also gave my man of the match. I gave him a 9. For me, you get a goal and an assist in any game with good work ethic, like that's really what you want, and that's why he for me he gets man of the match. But great thing from him. Like I hope he continues to prove me wrong this season, because I've been saying that he needs to score more goals. It's the only way that for me he starts to transition from just a regular inside forward to being a striker, and he gets more goals, then he's going to start be looking like the next Ronaldo, is what everybody was kind of coining him as from the time he's been there. So great job for Martinelli. And I'll give a solid 8. Just good team setup from him. Again, like you said, bringing on Nketiah sooner, I think it would help with Nketiah, obviously, with his development. And obviously, for me, I want Nketiah to score more goals. And the only way he's going to do so is by getting on the pitch a lot sooner. And maybe also to shake things up a bit. It doesn't necessarily have to be for Gabriel Jesus, but, just I want to see them two play a lot more regular this season. So, I'll give Arteta a solid 8. And, yeah, that's it for me. Vincey, do you want to go?
Yeah, I mean, listen, yesterday was, I think the result was a great result.
Yeah,
I was there. I'm just enthused by the atmosphere. I think it's a case where I'm now seeing a younger crop of Arsenal fans. I think we went through a period where the pain of our high status of where we were and how far we've come down got to the fans, and the inabilities in where our club allowed us to get to. impacted how we supported the club. But just to hear the fans singing the way they were singing, it was just refreshing. You know, I think it transcends onto the players. And again, from all or nothing, you're seeing there's a togetherness within the team. So, you know, when we go goal down, you see the way they reacted. I thought our defense yesterday really played well. When I say the defense, I'm talking the centre backs, Ben White. I'm not going to crucify Tierney. You know, the guys, we've got to be careful of our expectations of someone coming back from a serious injury. So, you know, I'm giving Apollo, if you can just pop up the ratings that you've got up there. I'm going to give Ben White a 6. Not Ramsdale, sorry, a 6. I thought the goal was weak from a defensive perspective. I'm also blame Tomiyasu for that, but also it just looked there was no command at that point in the game from Ramsdale. And yes, it was a foul, but it's a soft foul, and sometimes if it's not given, you've got to how are you playing the ball in that situation, and it was just weak. So I want to give him a 6. Ben White, I agree there with a 7. I think Saliba, again, I'll give him a 7.5. The guy is just playing such composed football. There's times he was having to pivot on a sixpence, and he was able to do that in the middle of the park and still keep control of the ball. So I think both him and Gabriel at the back had a really good partnership. You can see the desire to keep a clean sheet, and the communication was good. So I think both Saliba and Gabriel, I'd give a 7.5. I'm going to give Tierney a 6.5. You know, this brother had to do some serious sprints on that flank when, you know, we were kind of exposed due to some of our sloppy passing in the first half. And, you know, first full game back, you know, he put a shift in. So I'm not going to crucify Tierney. I'm going to give him 6.5. Xhaka, I thought he had a good first half. I'm going to give him, again, I'm going to give him 7.5. That's the biggest fear. We go into this game, okay, no Thomas Partey. We overlook Xhaka in what his contribution can be, but he allowed, in how Xhaka played, he allowed Sambi to excel. So I don't see that Xhaka was that bad and Sambi was that great for me to downgrade Xhaka yesterday. And, you know, Apollo made a good point about that challenge where he pulled out, but he was doing some good defensive work, tracking back in the second half, helping out the defense when we weren't using the ball well, and we were not taking our opportunities, and we were slightly under the cosh leading up to when Villa scored. So, you know, I'm going to give Xhaka a 7.5 along with Saliba and Gabriel. Saka, I think it was a good game that he had, better than the last few games. I'll give him a 7. From the end where I was in the clock end. So, you know, that pass that Martinelli gave to him, to this day, I still don't understand why that's not in the back of the net. And it's, you know, on his right foot, where he was, it's like, you know, I think Arteta should fine him. He should be fined for that miss. But the encouraging thing was he seemed on his game. He was prepared to dribble. I do think he's lacking confidence in his shooting, because there was opportunities in the first half where he's on his left foot, pull the trigger. You know, you go inside, you know, look for that top, and he wasn't.
But do you really think that that's like, it's like a form situation and not, because like I've noticed this from last season, like him and Odegaard had a similar situation. They've already had it this season whereby they prefer to pass than to shoot, and like they will only shoot if like it's absolutely necessary, rather than just like taking the shot and just, I don't know, just being really clinical and burying teams.
I think it's confidence. I'm looking at Saka. He looked a completely different player from the last two games with the ball, attacking. But when he's getting in front of the goal, or he's getting inside of the 18-yard box, he's not. When he creates and shapes, he's got the left foot, just like Pepe. Ping it, top corner. He's hesitant. He's hesitant on his natural foot. He's hesitant to take a shot, and I'm thinking, why is that? You know, you can see on his right foot. You saw what happened when he got the chance, and he's right in front of goal. You know, I'm thinking back to when I used to play football, and we all miss goals. You know, I've missed sitters right in front of goals, and it's a confidence thing. You know, sometimes you think, oh, you need an extra touch. You need to, you go past a player, you need to go past another player, and then you pass it off. Well, you had two opportunities before that. You created space. You dropped your shoulder. You've got the ability. You've done it before. Put your foot through it. Even if it goes over the bar, at least you're giving the goalkeepers and the defenders something to think about, and showing that you're confident to strike the ball. When you're hesitant and you're not taking long shots, that's a clear sign to me that you're not confident with your shooting, and that's something that hopefully with more opportunities and chances in front of goal, Saka will take that. But as I say, it's for me, it's good to see his all-round level of playing in the game was there, and that was missing. I was giving him a 6 at best for the last two games, and you know, some of the panels were on my case because, you know, I initially gave him a 5, so I upgraded him to a 6. So that was a huge improvement for me from Saka yesterday. For me, my man of the match is Sambi, and again, we all panicking. Partey's out injured. El Neni's out injured.
I wasn't panicking.
You know, people thinking, you know, well, what's going to happen with midfield? And forget, we've got a player of Sambi's ability who can play that role. So for me, the tandem it was refreshing to see how quickly Xhaka and Sambi were comfortable in that midfield. That first half was just like a refreshing performance. It's a shame we didn't capitalize with more goals, because we had good opportunities, but his range, his passing and so forth, you know, no midfielders in our squads on the island. I don't put Partey on an island above the other midfielders. You've got to go out there and do a job. And Sambi, I'm giving him a 9 for that performance. In a way, he came in and he was the man who dictated our play yesterday and our tempo. So hats off to him. I give Odegaard, I agree with probably an 8. He has some nice touches. Again, there's chances in that first half where we have chances where, you know, he's got a good left foot and from distance. And he again didn't want to pull that trigger. He's looking for that intricate pass to Jesus, and it's like, guys, come on. You know, how far do you want the defense to sit back and allow you opportunities to shoot? And that's something where I love a midfielder who could draw his foot and shoot. Yeah, Partey, we give him grief for his shooting, but he's got the confidence to try the shot. El Nene, we've seen in situations he can shoot. Xhaka, again, he doesn't do it enough, but he can shoot. So when I look at midfield players and they're in front of goal, and I look at opportunities that you have to shoot, and if you don't take a long shot in 90 minutes at all, I'm looking and thinking, what's going on? Because you've got opportunities, because defenders are sitting back off you. So, you know, fair play to to Odegaard, because he's been outstanding for the past few games. Got goals and assists, and his brain. He's looking around. He's looking for that intricate pass. He's got a good understanding with Jesus, so they were linking up quite well, which was nice to see. I think it was a bit of a frustrating game for me with Jesus yesterday, because I don't think the referee helped him out, because he was getting some rough challenges, and I found that just kind of disrupted his play, his momentum, but took his goal nice. I'd probably give him a 7.5. Jesus yesterday. Martinelli, just leading on from what Apollo was saying, his energy levels is something that compensates for other players in the team who, in situations who can't get back there. He's got the energy and he's going to make it back there, even if he loses the ball or somebody else loses the ball. And he's got a really great attitude, Martinelli, which helps the team out when we do lose the ball. I thought he did a great cross. I know Apollo was saying some of his end production is a little bit raw. And I think that's his overconfidence on his ball skills, his shooting ability, and everything's at a fast pace with him. So that's something that hopefully this year he's going to develop and get a bit more refined. I thought he took his goal well. I thought he actually missed it from the distance where I was at the other end. I thought it was going over the bar, but when we saw it on the replay, it was just a nice composed touch. I'd give 8.5 to Martinelli. For me, you were talking about Saka having a 10 and 10 season. I think with the opportunities that Martinelli should be getting this season, if he stays fit, there shouldn't be a reason why he doesn't get 10 assists and 15 goals. I'm saying that because of the chances created, and he can score. It's just a case of whether he takes his opportunities. And for the games we've seen Martinelli play, I think he's only had one game when he's been in double. He scored 2 goals. So that's an area where he's got to really work on, because he gets himself in good situations. If he capitalizes on that, man, we have. I think we've got an awesome player on our hands, and boy, if he starts scoring and assisting the way I think he can this season, watch out.
That's got to be the goal for him and Saka this season. Like I know you say 15 and 10, which would be great, but like the bare minimum has to be 10 and 10. And you got Europa League games as well, and was a League Cup and FA Cup. Like for me, I don't discount those. Like if goals are goals. So
I think it's going to be harder. Saka's played a lot of football consistently.
Yeah. Over the past,
played a lot of football, and I think a problem we have as Arsenal fans right now is everybody now know how to play Saka. They double up on him, so he's now got to add something else to his game and be clinical in front of goal. If he's clinical in front of goal, then you're going to see, as you say, 10 and 10 and more. Yeah. And that's the area, because when he's tightly marked in those last 2 games, you can see sometimes he wasn't at his best. And if he's playing every week and he's playing for England, 4 years solid football from a young man, I'm scared of the burnout that this youth's potentially going to get. So my expectation of him hitting the heights of last season, if he can match what he did last season, I think it would be great. I think Martinelli's got the natural finishing ability to score more goals than Saka. And I kind of expect this season Martinelli to, if he plays in the position he's played and we play the style of football we play, I expect Martinelli to score more goals. I'm just a bit concerned about Saka. because that's a lot of football.
Squad management, like this is where this is going to be the fine margins to where Arteta will be tested this season, and how well he does at that is going to be so key. Like guys like, I know he's injured at the moment, but guys like Reece Nelson, like if you really value him as a player and they've kept him, like you're gonna have to play him. Like, and it's not just gonna be in the group stages of the Europa League. I'm talking Premier League games. Like Saka will need rest. Like everybody is going to have is going to be needed, and that's the only way that Arsenal will get top four. In my opinion, is that squad management.
Yeah, I mean it's an interesting thing. Someone's just put a comment from a Facebook user, I'm not sure who it is, where they say that Saka needs to go back to one-touch football.
It's Fat Freddy. It's Fat Freddy.
It's a great point, because I've been saying this for a few seasons now. It's like Freddie says, burnout is correct, so expect less of him on the field until he learns how to keep himself fresh. The key thing is, if you're a dribbler as a winger and you're double marked, well, give and go. You give and go. You're losing the player, and then you're creating space by going. So if they receive the ball, you're then in the position to take a shot and shoot when you want the ball. And this is where the confidence is. Where, all right, if you're Pepe, sometimes we think, you know what, he hasn't got a right foot, but when he's in a situation, he can put his foot through and score with his right foot. This is the problem where we're in that quandary where Saka's not giving a go. He's taking 2-3 touches with players on him, and then he's going into cul-de-sac, and then that space is just nullified, and then it's like you're going to have to go again. So it's just being aware of ways in how you can create space for yourself, and then having that confidence to shoot. It will come, but I do think in training that one touch it's a simple thing. They say let the ball do the work. If you're skillful and you're fast, you're going to create space. And if you've got dribbling skill, you'll get around players.
I think that they are going to develop him as an 8, though, and I think what he's doing as a 6 is just doing what he needs to do as a squad player. So I'm all for that. I really am all for that. Guys, we've got 15 minutes left in the transfer deadline. So what we're going to do is we're going to run through. Vincey can run through what the deals have been done on the last day. Neomis can run through the Arsenal players that were able to be shipped out today, and then I can talk about, by that time we should be pretty much near the end of it, and I can talk about what Arsenal are doing at the moment now. So let's get the activities of the last day up, and Vincey, you can run through us the deals that have been done on the last day. Can you see it clearly?
Yeah. Okay. So we've got Ainsley Maitland-Niles. He's OMG. My man's gone on to Southampton on loan.
Wow.
Big deal. I just hope that he gets in the team and gets game time. You know, that's the one thing I don't like about us. You know, it's one thing to ship our players out, but them sitting on the bench and not progressing is frustrating, and we're struggling in situations with injuries. So fair play to him. Ainsley, get your head in focus. You know, you don't have to speak Italian now. It's English now. And just
speak English.
Just get it right, man. So we've got Leander Dendoko. He's gone to Villa for 13 mil. Hold on. There's this player called Willian.
Oh
my God.
That
can't be our William.
Hold on.
It is our William.
Oh,
it's our William. And guys, you know what the joke is? That was his first game for Arsenal and the best he ever played for us. He had 2 assists in the first game. I want to dedicate that one to Bertram Spence in the chat.
This brother cancelled his contract had us all thinking, you know what, the Premiership is too much for us.
Yeah.
What was Fulham thinking? What is wrong with Fulham?
He had 2 assists
Why?
against them. Look, I remember. Look, you know, a couple of the guys were bigging him up. He came in that game and played really well, and we sat down and we said, if that's what he's going to do for us, the world's our oyster, and it just went downhill from there.
Now I'm gonna look at that. I'm gonna look at that cancelled contract differently, man, because you can't be going to Fulham on the free, man. We'll talk about that on another. But that's so wrong, man. I'm not having that. Martin. So Martin Dubravka has gone to Manchester United from Newcastle on loan. Idris Gueye, good guy, has gone from Paris Saint-Germain to Everton, and that's a return. Because
yeah,
2 years he was down at PSG, so they need some help in the midfield. So so hopefully you will have a good one.
Look at Kazawa, man.
Lavin Kazawa.
Wow,
that's a big time deal, guys.
Wow,
Fulham are not playing around.
Lavin Kazawa, PSG to Fulham on loan. We have Jack Stevens, Southampton to Bournemouth. I'm not sure about this player. See how he goes on. We have Willie Bowley from Wolves to Nottingham Forest for undisclosed fee, and Wout Faes from Reims to Leicester.
Leicester got signed in. Well done, Leicester. Well done, Leicester.
You know, I don't know much about this player, but I think we have to congratulate Leicester for getting somebody in, because they look to me like they were a relegation team based on not getting anybody in. So I have to check on YouTube, see how this guy's got on, and so we could talk more about him. So we've got Manuel Akinji from Dortmund to Manchester City. I don't know anything about this player, but if City are buying somebody and they've got somebody, so boy, he must be serious. He must be serious. I mean, this last one.
Oh, they got him over the line. They got him over the line.
Anthony.
United.
From Ajax.
Man United.
To Man United for 82 million. Now, I read that this was an overpriced deal.
Oh, yeah.
Of course it is.
Now, they paid double the amount for Lisandro Martinez. He was only worth 23 million euros. They paid 48.
But it's whether or not this guy's attributes. I'm not so much focused on the fee. If this brother can play and he can fit into the system, then that changes the dynamic of United, because that's what they need. So I'm going to have to do some research on him, because, boy, Casemiro, he's a player in his own right.
Yeah.
You know, he's a player in his own right. If they can start to... My problem is we're playing them at the weekend. So these brothers who are just coming, these green United mans need to be on the bench and only come on the 85th minute. I don't want to see them brothers starting, because that's a different kettle of fish that we've got to deal with, and that's going to make me nervous. I'm not happy about them ones. So, yeah.
Oh, hold on. I got a question. Apollo, why didn't we try to get Casemiro, and he's Brazilian? He would do wonders for our, I love Party, but boy, Casemiro.
So Carlos Vinicius has just gone to Fulham from Benfica. So that's another one to add to this one.
He's gone to Fulham.
Yeah. Was that the boy who was at Tottenham on loan for like half a season?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So Neomis, just point out the players who have left Arsenal. So this is just our outgoings.
Oli Inca, Cheltenham Town. Good for him. Aziz is gone to Ibiza. That's purely not for football reasons. What other reason? Why would you choose to go to Ibiza? Well done.
Eden, man. My man's going to Eden, man. Summer's already done, though. That's the only thing, though.
He's off to Ibiza. Good for him. Maitland-Niles has gone to Southampton, which I think is great, because I rate Maitland-Niles so much. For me, I think he's a not quite as good Zinchenko, but can do everything that Zinchenko could do in terms of work ethic and can play in multiple positions. So good for him. And then Akinola has gone to Chesterfield on loan, which is very good for him. Hopefully he'll develop to be a a good player. So well done to all those players. Oh, there's one guy you left off of that list that I saw on the Athletic. Hector Bellerin.
Hector Bellerin.
Oh yeah, Bellerin, my man.
Yeah,
my agent.
It's not confirmed yet. That's why they're trying to get it through.
Oh, okay.
It's the reason why Everton just signed James Garner from Man United. I think that was on there anyway. Arthur Melo, Liverpool, that's just cleared. Just probably 5 minutes ago, that contract went through. So that's another one to add. So we come to Arsenal now, and it's not good news, guys. It's not good news. So a third bid has gone through. The first bid was 20 million. The second bid was 23 million. And the third bid was 25 million for Douglas Luiz. And all of them have been rejected by Villa. So the frustration is, so it's over, guys. It's over. It's not going to happen. And one has to look at teams who are struggling, like Leicester City with Tielemans and Villa with Douglas Luiz. They're thinking to themselves, we would rather die fighting with these guys and lose. Because if these guys earned 6 to 7, 8 points this season, that could save them from being relegated. So is that worth more than getting 20 million or 25 million in the bank? Yes, it is, because you only make 16 million in the Championship, but you make 94 million, not including TV appearances, in the Premier League. So that's the reason why we're not seeing these deals going through, guys. It's because these teams can earn more money if these players are committed, and that's a big word, if these players are committed. We know that once a player's told you they want to go, you never get the same from that player again. The heart, the passion, the desire, all of that is gone. And you just have an empty shell who's on the field, turning up. I mean, Tielemans hasn't been great for Leicester City this year. Douglas has scored back-to-back games and really got Villa goals where they're just not scoring. They've got all them guys like Ollie Watkins, Ings, and they're not getting goals from anywhere. Coutinho's just stinking up the joint. He's on the bench.
I would just query what the financial situation is or the position is for Leicester and Villa in buying players, because to me it makes no sense. This Tielemans deal should have been done long time. So it's whether or not
they had an agreement with him in March.
Right. So all they need to do is to go and buy another player. So it looks to me like there's a financial issue why if they do get rid of Tielemans, they can't replace him but with somebody else, or their finances.
Can I just put a bit of light on that? As I said to you guys last week, Bertram was talking to me about this, and I did say Arsenal only wanted to pay 15 to 20 million for Tielemans, and Leicester wanted 30 to 35. This morning, we heard that Sky Sports News broke it straight away and said Leicester have lowered their demands to 25 million for Tielemans, which is actually what they offered Douglas Luiz. So it doesn't make sense.
But at this late stage, the problem is at this late stage now, it's going to impact them to then go out and get somebody else.
Yeah.
And this is the thing, is any club that's doing business this last minute is they're shooting themselves in the foot, because you run the risk of agents asking for more money, clubs asking for money, and you're losing the player. So I can understand Leicester not wanting to sell Tielemans. I can understand Villa not wanting to sell Luiz, because at the end of the day, if they can't go out and get their targets, then they're going to be, the way that started the season, they're really going to be behind in a precarious situation. And I just think we just needed to have a clear focus on where we needed to get our business done. I'll give us our transfer window. I'll give us an 8 out of 10.
Yeah, I'll stay with mine, because remember, it's all recorded what we gave them, and we said we'll come back to it at the end and see if it's changed. It hasn't changed. And it's a real shame, because We don't know. We do know Partey's injury is more of a precaution. It's a slight strain. He's not fully blown done his thigh. And I think some fans are getting a bit carried away with that. It's just a precaution because it's a slight strain. Zinchenko should have been ready to play last night, but they kept him out as a precaution. He'll be ready for Man United. El Nene is probably going to be 4 to 6 weeks because that's a hamstring. So he's done that in. Sambi will cover him. But I just fear that you've got no real other options in the midfield apart from Ben White.
But that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And you know what? Sorry, go on.
Yeah, go for it.
No, I was going to say that I have no problem with Ben White playing at a DM. And to be honest, that's how I thought that would do it. It would help us to whereby we could potentially play with 3 at the back, because then Ben White would be acting like a DM. You put him at the very base of the midfield, and then you just make sure that you have players in the midfield that can help cover his weaknesses. And with guys like Zinchenko in there, like we will be fine.
Right, guys. Sorry, go on, Vincey.
Yeah, my concern is what is happening with Thomas Partey while he's consistently getting injuries, similar type of injuries. What is happening? Is he not stretching enough before games in training?
That's
how a player of his capabilities is getting injured so frequently, and these things aren't in matches.
So there's a few things there, and none of them good. The main thing is the injuries in the same place, and he's had 2 major injuries in that place. This is a twinge, which is a precaution. The last time he was like this, we were playing Spurs, remember? And he was pronounced 70 to 80% fit, and Arteta knew that if he played him, the chances of it reoccurring would have been about 25-30%. And a couple of panelists, who I won't mention, said play him, and a few of us said no. Why would you do that? They played him, and that was it. He was gone. So it is in the same place, Vincey, and you have to think that these guys have got the best doctors and physicists in the world, and you know, in terms of the physio and how he has to manage that and what the problem is. But I think the good news is that it is the same injury, and it's not like DRB or Wilshere where it's all over the knees, the ankles, everywhere else. I mean, because that's where you just throw the towel in. I think with this one, you just have to manage it and understand why is the higher thigh muscle doing that. What is wrong with it? How can you strengthen it in terms of the physio and strength training? How could you build that area up to be more robust? Because look, I mean, that's what these guys get paid for. I think there's more sort of good news than bad news with it, but it is localized to just one area, and he's not. I mean, they were saying he could be back within 2 weeks because they're just keeping him out to keep him out of trouble.
But you know this, you're talking about a high thigh strain. That's going to impact his shooting.
Yeah.
His running is not. He'll get around as he gets around. As Bertrand says, he runs around like an old man. You look at him and you're thinking, "Come on, man, just drop your foot and stride a little." But he gets around the pitch like an old man. But when you're putting your foot through the ball, that's going to impact. And I wonder if that's because it's a niggling injury that keeps on coming. I wonder if this is something that is actually impacting him when he's shooting, because the rest of his game, he's getting around, but in that area, you put your foot through. I don't know. Something's not right there, man.
So, guys, this list has just grown within the last few minutes, and as you can see, oh God, I've done it again. And as you can see, all of this is time-stamped. So up on the top here, we've got the latest deals that were done. We talked about Arthur Melo to Liverpool. And again, God only knows why Liverpool did not strengthen in the midfield. when they spoke to Tielemans, Tielemans' agent told them he only wants to go to Arsenal. Tielemans, the only team he wants to go to is Arsenal. And they sorted that out when they talked in March. And I did say 2 weeks ago, I said, if Arsenal don't get him in, then they'll get him in next season on a free. The only problems with that is Juventus entered the race a week ago and can sign a pre-contract with him in January. And look, man, this is great news for Tielemans. It's great news for David Luiz because it means that instead of them getting 100 grand a week, they could garner 200 grand a week because they'll come on a free contract. So it's great news for the player. The player's probably sitting down thinking, I'm going to make a mint next summer because I won't come with any transfer fee. None.
I think for us, we got to look at it that, okay, we get to see Sambi more. We get to see him grow and try and fight for position to get into the Belgium squad for the World Cup. So fingers crossed that could work in our advantage. Where if Partey's not back, we're going to get to see Sambi and him putting in a performance. We've got some tough fixtures coming up, which is going to be interesting to see how we navigate them. But I do believe in our youngsters. I do believe in them having the opportunity to perform. And sometimes it's not always about how much money you can spend and who can come in. It's about what opportunities we can allow some of the players that we have who are talented to shine. And we saw last night what Sambi can do.
So, guys, the window is officially closed. There's still one deal to be done, and that is Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang to Chelsea, which is yet to be announced. Now, I don't know whether they've got the facts through with the contracts before 11 o'clock. I guess we'll find out. But very rarely do we ever see things like that happen over the course of the season. Now, just to highlight a few things, same as Vincey, I'm going to give Arsenal a solid 8. It would have been gravy if they would have added to the team, but we know how hard these things was. Guys, they made 3 bids for this guy, and he was, Villa, after the first bid, was saying, we're never going to sell this guy. I just don't understand how they didn't take Tielemans, but, some of you, like Bertram, didn't want the player anyway, so I think either way, some fans are going to like it. Some fans are going to be a little bit disappointed by it. But who are the biggest losers here? One has to say maybe De Jong, Ronaldo, Tielemans. That's probably my 3. It's probably my 3 players who were the biggest losers in this transfer market.
I don't know about Ronaldo. Yes, obviously he wants Champions League football and so forth, but I think United are still a dangerous team if they can get players around Ronaldo and he can still come on and score. So and perform. So don't count out United. They're an annoying club. I really don't like them. They just hang around and just go out and spend money and then somehow just scrape results against us and other teams, and then all of a sudden you see them up there. That's what they're capable of. But I do feel sorry for Tielemans. he really looked like he wanted to be in Arsenal colours, man, and that's a tough pill to take.
It is, and one, as I said, he's 24, he's 25 next year. Next year, he'll be able to go to the team he wants to go to. And maybe even in January, they might come in and they might take 10 million for him in January, depending on how bad the injuries get for Arsenal. So the door's not closed, but the player, for me, the player's in a good place because he's going to earn more money. I don't know about De Jong. I mean, God knows, that was one of the first deals announced and it never, ever went through. So I don't know what is going on there with the player. And Ronaldo, you just have to feel for the player because he wants to play in the Champions League. It ain't going to happen at Man United. And now they've got a disgruntled, disjointed player who is costing them, what's he on, 500 grand a week, 500,000 a week or something like that, and he don't want to be there.
Niamis, would you take De Jong
Wow.
over Tillemans in his Arsenal? If money wasn't an issue, would you take De Jong in this Arsenal team to link up with Odegaard?
Yes, because for me, I don't see Tillemans as a 6, and I know a lot of people do, but I see him more as like a Sambi type, which is more forward. That's more like an 8. But for me, I know De Jong could play in that central role and shine.
Yeah, you're in it.
Yeah.
It's sad. I get frustrated on transfer deadline day when you see players of his ilk.
Yeah. And
just wasted, just not getting the move and not having the opportunity to shine.
Yeah,
football loses out when those things happen for me.
Yeah, to answer Bertram's question, and the point Bertram's making is that we're just not addressing. So we can all agree with you, Bertram, in terms of the reason why you're asking the question is because I don't think we've done enough to address the depth in the midfield. But to answer the question, you're looking at, Zinchenko, as I said, he could have played last night. So Zinchenko is there, Sambi is there, and then the reserve backup would be Ben White.
Yeah,
that's which is ridiculous when you consider that last year at least we had a few of the academy guys, but all the academy guys have gone.
What, the central mid? No, come on. We got. What about that? The Salah guy, Salahuddin.
He's gone.
Must be.
No, yeah, he's on loan. Yeah, he's gone on loan. He's gone.
The only one who's still. Well, I don't know what's happened to George Lewis. I think he's the only one.
Favorite, the English boy that speaks Spanish. Oh God, what's his name?
I
can't remember. There was one that Arteta really liked. He's English, but he just has a Spanish dad or speaks Spanish.
So while we think about that, so let's talk about the players that they done a good job on. They did a good job on Torreira. What's that?
Apollo. La Liga just confirmed Hector Bellerin has signed for Barcelona.
Okay, excellent, good. Because I was just going to talk about him when we pulled it up here. So Torreira's gone. I thought that was a decent deal. Pepe, 140 grand a week, and we're only paying 25,000 a week on that. So Nice playing 115 grand a week of his wages. They've got Ramsey there as well. Ramsey's on 3 figures. So Nice are coming up with a little bit of cash. So much for French teams and European teams not having much money. I think that's rubbish. They just want the scraps from the Premier League. And Maitland-Niles has got his move to Southampton, which I think is really, really good. I would like to see if there's an option to buy there. Bellerin's gone back home. Everyone's saying Real Betis is his real home. Yes, it was, but it was Barcelona that brought him through their academy, not Real Betis. So I like the fact that they have a 30% sell-on clause. So if Barcelona do sell the player for, say, 20 million euros or whatever, that means we get 6 million euros out of that deal if he ends up going to Real Betis at some point. He's only 27 years old. People forget how young Bellerin is. Pablo Mari, again, needed to be done. We've got 10 million for Bernd Leno. And the only one out of that list that is still here is Reece Nelson, which I'm a big fan of, by the way. And one can only hope that he can get back into the team and help give Saka some relief, along with Marquinhos and Fabio Vieira. But I'm just hoping come the Europa League, he'll get his chance.
So you're saying Nelson is still with us because you got him down there?
He's injured. Yeah, he's out for a month.
Okay.
Yeah.
Out for a month. There's one thing that we got to think about. If January's the transfer window and the World Cup's coming on, there's only, a month and a half to 2 months max of football. So that's probably why if they didn't pull the trigger on some deals, then, if we can get through, it's dicey, but if we can get through 2 months of football, then they'll revisit again after the World Cup.
Yeah, Bertram and Gary are both saying in the midfield what they're doing is make no sense. I think we can all agree. I don't really know what the plan is, but what I do know, And what I said last week, actually, it wasn't last week. I said it in my match preview of Aston Villa. Buying a player and spending money for a replacement for El Nene is a double-edged sword, because when everybody's fit again, you're talking about a player that's going to be sitting behind El Nene, who's already sitting behind Partey, and so you've paid all this money for his player who isn't going to play. So the answer is to always bring up from your academy first, which is why I talked about Sambi, even though he's not from my academy. You lot understand what I'm saying. And then the second is to seek a loan. Go out there and get a loan and see if you can facilitate that, because that's not going to cost you. You don't want to be stuck with a long-term problem. Douglas Luiz wasn't a long-term problem. He was a guy who was going to come in with a 4-year deal and replace El Nene next year, because El Nene is only on a 1-year deal, remember, guys. So it made sense bringing him in, because he was going to be someone who would fit your system, be the player that you'd like on a long term. So you'd say bye-bye to El Nene next year, and then all of that would be smooth and gravy. But I just didn't agree with just going out outrightly and spending someone just to replace El Nene. What you need to do is you need to think about the how this is going to affect the team down the road. And when everybody gets fit, you're then stuck with a guy who costs 25, 30 million, who's sitting on the bench, who you ain't going to play. Now, some people might argue that that's the price you pay for being at the top of the league and one of the upper echelon teams. And to that point, I do agree. But I think, considering that we were on the button of FFP and financial fair play, I think if anything happens now, don't be surprised if you see a loan come through. Because if Sambi gets nicked on Sunday, although I think Shinchenko will play, if Sambi does get nicked, then you're in trouble. You're down to Ben White. Bertram
But
says,
the thing
Apollo,
is, like
yeah, but Bertram, I think it's I think he's made it very clear he doesn't want to play here, and that relationship and understanding between him and Edu has been made clear a long time ago, and they just really have been struggling to find a team to take him, and that's the reason why we were all happy when Southampton pulled the trigger, because now we know he's gone to a team like Wolves who are going to make use of his skill set. This was a guy who shut out some of the best attacking midfielders 2 years ago in our FA Cup run and made the England team, and it all went downhill for him because Arteta didn't want to play the guy. So yeah, it's just one of those things. Go on, Neomis.
So what I was gonna say is that, like, clearly, like, first I want to find with Maitland-Niles. Is it him who wants to leave, or is it Arteta that
it's him? He wants to leave. He's wanted to leave for he's wanted to go for over a year. So
okay,
yeah,
I can understand why he wants to go. I mean, the guy was playing good football and then just overlooked. So, it's frustrating. He, along with Aubameyang, were the two main players who won us the FA Cup and the Charity Shield. Now, for a new manager to come in, have him utilised in that way, we're looking at him and thinking, you know what? Yes, Arteta's going to develop him and build a team with him in there. It doesn't happen. He goes to Roma with Jose, and was it the Europa?
Yeah.
Wins the Europa. Played a few games, but we know he can play. We know he can perform. It's sad. It's sad to see at his age that he had no place at Arsenal Football Club. And yes, it's the direction that Arteta's gone. And the problem is, I believe a lot of clubs are going to hold us accountable for the players that we don't utilize in the right way. So when we want to try and find homes for them, we're going to suffer. And we have suffered because, we've had decent players, good young players, and talent, but we want good quality money for them. We can't demand good quality money if we're not paying for them and we're not utilizing. Same with like the situation with Pepe. So this is the other side of where it shoots us in the foot. In now we've dragged our feet in getting these loan players off our books, but we now can't bring in players because the transfer deadline is now gone. So it's very key where we've got to just think about, this is down to Arteta and the team, think about how they utilize players, how they, when players aren't being played, what message is it putting out? Because as I said this at the start of last season, we've got a situation now with Pepe, much like how we had with Lacazette, where this guy's contracts are going to come up. He's on some big money.
Yeah.
How are you gonna reinvest it? To think that you can sit back on 2 years and let somebody just rot away of his ability, he was functional and contributing to the team, is tough.
Yeah, Gary, on that point, Gary, I think we're aware that the Bellerin situation was a very difficult one to do contractually because it was a game of chicken. One side was waiting for the other side to move, and whoever moved first was going to lose out. The key word here is compromise. So Arsenal waited this out because they knew Bellerin didn't want to be here this season, and they used that against the player so that the player would make the first move. So the contractual agreement with nullifying his contract with a mutual agreement also meant that Arsenal was going to make 30 million with a sell-on clause. So they made sure that when both sides part, Arsenal was still going to be an advantage. And these things have gone through weeks and weeks and weeks of negotiation. And Bellerin, quite frankly, had a lot to lose. You know, his salary was 5.2 million a year, 100 grand a week. And that's owed to him. That money's owed to him. So in order for him to make the move, it's got to be the right move. It's got to be the right decision. It's got to mean something. Also, for Barcelona, who quite frankly must have been talking to him for a while, they were in a situation where they couldn't even register any players. You lot all know about that. So a lot of these things are smoke and mirrors, and they've been talking about back and forth. But it is a game of chicken. It's the first one who moves is going to lose out. And the last one who talks is the one that's in the advantage. So I think Arsenal held out there well enough and got a deal that pretty much satisfies them, because nobody lasts long at Barcelona. Barcelona churn out, their attrition rate for players is horrendous. They churn out players every 2 or 3 seasons. So there's no telling how long Bellerin's going to be there before he goes to Real Betis. And when he does, we're going to be there to pocket some cash as well. So we played the long game and it kind of worked out for us. But I do agree with most of you guys' comments. Sorry I haven't read them all, guys. I just don't have the long capacity for that tonight. But there's a little bit of not a sour taste in our mouth, because I think this is the first time we've done all our business in the first few weeks. We've had a tremendous transfer, guys. We're 5 games unbeaten and won all of those games this season, which, as I said, if we beat Man United on Sunday, it would be the second time in our history that we've actually done that. So I think that what we're doing has been great, but this would have just been the icing, the cherry on the top, if we got today right. And we tried, guys. We tried. If we'd have offered any more money, everybody would be saying, why are you giving Douglas Luiz 35 million? Why are you paying 35 million for Tielemans and all of that? So it's almost like you got to weigh up with common sense. It's like, yes, they could have done they could have done some things better. Other things I thought that they did very well. But, so on balance, it worked out. And me and Vincey Neomis said, yes, they deserve an 8. But it could have been a 9. It could have been a 9.5. So, what can you say? We want it perfect, but it doesn't always work out that way. Neomis?
I think for me, probably like the only thing, because for me, the midfield wasn't an area that I felt that like we really needed to invest in. For me, like I saw Bertram in the comments talking about Maitland-Niles, and like he was one of them on top of Ben White and Zinchenko. But for me, the only other position is another striker. I wanted another natural striker, and I'm surprised we did. Like, I don't care where it's from, permanent player. Bring on someone on loan would have been perfect as a temporary solution, as like a just in case anything was to ever happen. Because I think that we are a Gabriel Jesus / Eddie Nketiah injury away from having a crisis. And I know some of the names are talked about, the likes of Zaha, who he's got 1 year left, who I'd been more than happy to. But
I love this comment.
I'm also oh god.
Yeah, I think we're going to be looking at a loan over the next 24, 48 hours.
Yeah.
And if that doesn't happen, then you know, Zinchenko's going to come back, and before you know it, we'll be back to full strength. Because remember, guys, Partey's not injured; it's just a precaution. That's all it is. So it's not as much as disaster as the media and some of the fans are making it out to be.
Yeah, but I do think it does. The dynamic of our versatility is hampered by these niggles, because we got to be real. When we're giving playing ratings to players when they're not performing, it's because of these same things. Players having niggles and not being able to go at full pelt. So we come into a period where we've got some real tough games. Now, we can come out of that period with, I hope it doesn't happen, some serious injuries. That then changes the dynamic on how this team can set up against the teams we're going to play, and how flexible is Arteta going to be with his formation, with the players that we have.
That's a big comment, Bertrand.
At our disposal. I'm not sure. Yes, we can get those players next year, but when you think at the end of the World Cup, some of these players we're looking at can fade into comparison to players who shine at the World Cup and are available. So it's as Apollo's made reference to, a cat and mouse. It's a very dicey situation that Arsenal put themselves in January, and also when you're desperate. You know, we've got money. To other clubs that look at us and think, you know what, they're gonna rinse us because we need players to fill in when we have holes due to injury. So fingers crossed we can get through these next 2 months without any injuries. Stay unbeaten. That would be awesome. You know, we would just be getting into the World Cup on cloud 9. You know what I mean? Thinking, you know what I mean? Praising Arteta. The boys would have done a great job.
Right. Hold on a second, guys.
Too many Arsenal fans that are very worried. They've had a great window, great start to the season, 5 wins from 5. There was those concern over a number of players, particularly in midfield, that have picked up injuries and don't know how serious they are. Mohamed El Neni, not sure how long he's going to be out for. He's got to see a specialist. Thomas Partey has got a thigh problem and has a history of thigh problems. And Arteta said, look, I'm looking at my options on deadline day. Luiz was top of those options. He's a player that Arteta knew well from Manchester City, a player we understood that wanted to come here, 24-year-old midfielder, as Arsenal fans found out last night, great with a set piece. And they started the day with a £20 million offer. That went up to 23 plus 2. And then there was a £25 million offer that was rejected by Aston Villa. Luiz, remember, into his last year of his contract, so he can start talking to European clubs from early next year. So great start for Arsenal. Didn't get who they wanted on deadline day. Saw the likes of Bellerin leave the club and Ainsley Maitland-Niles on loan to Southampton too. They'll just be hoping that the injury to Martin Odegaard that he picked up in that win over Aston Villa isn't too bad, and Arteta will be updating everyone tomorrow ahead of that game with Manchester United on Sunday.
Gail, thank you.
Okay, all right.
Apollo, can I just comment back to Bertram when he says Vinci never used the World Cup as a basis to make transfer decisions.
Yeah,
Bertram, listen, this is football. There's 2 transfer windows in 4 years, yeah, that every single club make big decisions on. The Euros and the World Cup. Players that sometimes you will never hear of get bought after their performances from those 2 major tournaments. So
Exactly.
the reality of the situation is, if you don't forward plan based on those 2 tournaments every 4 years, in that cycle with your youth system, you're spending money unnecessarily because you don't have a youth system to go in and plug in and get the players. You're spending more money because in every 2 years, whether it's the Euros or the World Cup, you're overspending if you're buying players after the World Cup. So the key thing is you want to try and get those players before they go to the World Cup, so you're not spending more money.
Yeah, I do also want to say to everybody, there's loads of comments in here, guys. And as I said, sorry, I can't read them all. Dax has said, Party always an injury. Xhaka still, he plays every game. So solid, perfect. Big up to Xhaka. And Yusha says, I'm proudly to be an Arsenal fan, but why Arteta cannot buy any player in this few minutes? Well, I know it's Arteta that you're using, but Edu and Richard Garlick are the guys who are buying the players. And it's just, they're trying, and it's extremely tough. And, you know, it takes 3 parties to do it, the player, the opposing team, and Arsenal. And if you don't get all 3 agreements, then the deal's not going to happen. And unfortunately, Leicester was not going to pull, sorry, not Leicester, Aston Villa was not going to pull the trigger on making this deal happen because the fear for them is being relegated. And so losing a player of that caliber, which quite frankly annoys me because he's only had 1 start out of the first 5 games this season and come on 3 times as a sub. So I'm a bit confused, which is why Villa wouldn't cash in on 25 million on a player that they're not even starting, who started 1 game in the last 5. Go on, Vincey.
Yeah, I just want to respond back to Gary. He was saying, how could you forward plan before a tournament has happened? Scouting. The key thing is, if any club is in the position that you do not know the under 21s, the under 18s players of any national team, I don't know who you're scouting, because their development over a period of times with the clubs around is there for you to see. So by the time they come to these tournaments, yeah, they're already performing. They should already be on your books, on your radar of, you know what, this guy, he's progressing, he's moving, you know, he's got the mindset to an opportunity to possibly get into the national team. You shouldn't be waiting until that guy's in the national team, put on the shirt, you know, got to the quarterfinals, and then the next summer you're bidding with so many other clubs to try and get the money. You're spending more money than you should have. You should have been getting that guy before. And that's how I've looked at football growing up for years. When you see these players, you know, so many teams, Premiership teams, spent unnecessary money on players based on the major tournaments. You know,
Mark T. Thompson has said 2 players short again, frustrating in January, still frustrating today. All the players out. We wanted Bar Nelson, but we can't get the players in. Kez, I think, is it Kez? No, we've got G is saying, I still have a deep-rooted disgust for Man United ever since the Fergie days. When we lose to them, it puts me in a bad mood. But Bertrand says, Vincey, that was in our prior years. Nowadays, most players are known before the World Cup. I think the answer to that is, when you guys heard about Zinchenko and Jesus, how long they were talking to these players, when you heard that they were talking to Tielemans this March, pretty much shows what Vincey is saying. Is they scouted these players. They got I keep joking to you guys, the agents, they make me laugh about this yellow book, yellow memo pad, A4 memo pad, where they have all the players' names on, who they've targeted. They know exactly who they're going for. They have pages of players who they've scouted, and they know who they want. They've made these decisions ages ago. This isn't just a knee-jerk reaction. They know who's in the last years of their contract. They know who's got 2 years to go, who's got 3 years to go. They've got all the price ranges of the players. All of this is calculated in abundance to FFP. So they know what they're doing, which is a far cry from Raul Sanelli and Dick Law when they got us into trouble. And we couldn't even pay Aaron Ramsey when it came down to it. So, look, like I said, guys, it's not perfect. And I'm sure we'd all want it to be perfect. But what they've done this summer is very well. And, this is like Game of Thrones. Don't let the ending spoil the experience for you, They've had a good summer. And that has taken us to where we are now. And as I said, and not just me, but Bertram says, I just hope injuries doesn't derail our season, because that's something that can happen. And it used to happen to us quite a lot. Arsenal and injuries have been quite good of late, when you think about it, except for what happened on the back end of last year. We haven't had those drastic injuries where we had players out for 6 months and half of the team. I remember going up to Anfield when 9 of our first 11 players were injured. And, it's little silly things like that. It's not been that bad now. Ayumi says, where's the Rafinha money gone? Another disappointing and deadline day. Yeah, the Rafinha money went to Zinchenko, and they right now are looking at a situation where, because Arsenal value their contracts differently, they don't do the sign-in fee. They do the sign-in fee plus the wages, so it's all calculated differently. And right now they're looking at Martinelli and Saka's contract extensions, so that's where some of that money is going to be going. But Cam and Gary were talking about in terms of Bellerin and things like that. Bellerin was 5.2 million that they've just saved off their books now. So they've gone from the second highest wages to the 9th. And even in the last 48 hours, they're still shaving more money off their wage bills. So I think what they're doing behind closed doors has been a good job. They've really managed this thing as best as they could, while at the same time, year after year debts, guys, we're losing money. This club ain't making money. We're losing money. That's the reality. But they're still finding a way how to invest and spend money on players. So I think that they should be applauded for that.
I think Hantumi's made a good comment here about Thomas Partey. I've been saying this the past year and a half. Thomas Partey has started just 57% of Arsenal's Premiership games since joining the club. Can we trust him to be fit for the rest of the season?
No.
We can't trust him. I don't think we can trust him to be fit. I don't think we can trust him to be at the level of how he played before his last fitness. And that's a concern for me in the area of the pitch where we rely on him. He played very well, great football from the middle to the end of February up until when he got injured. But we're looking over a season or half a season. Can we get half a season of that caliber of Thomas Partey? That's huge, because we haven't experienced it yet.
But guys,
hold on, Neomis. Let me say something first. I'm holding my hands to my head because there's been a world record that has been set, and nobody's talking about it. And here's some jokes for you right now, guys. Let's have a little light-hearted moment before we go to Neomis. Nottingham Forest have signed a record 20 players this summer. Now, guys, remember, your team roster is a submission of 25 players. They have signed 20 players this summer. And 2 minutes ago, they tried to get a move for Chelsea's Michi Baishu. Yeah? And they couldn't pull it off. Just so that would have been 21 players. I mean, that is absolute bonkers. Go on, Neomis.
That's absolutely crazy. Surely they're going to get relegated. No, you don't. What about the players they had from last season? Because that's what it says, that most of their team from last season are worthless.
Yeah, they wasn't very good. They got through the back door. So,
but again, we go back to planning. You stop and you think. Since they got promoted to the start of the season, How many players?
20.
That's
a record.
that's
World
crazy.
record. No team is even. That's like, you know what that's like? That's like the NFL giving a new franchise to Carolina. That's like the NBA giving Vancouver and Toronto a new franchise and saying, guys, go out there and sign everything. No salary caps for you this year. Go and pick up everybody.
You know, it'd be interesting to talk on the forum with Mark, because I know he does a lot of development with the players, and you know they do play good football when they're confident, and you know we've got to be fair to Forest. It's a hard league they come into. You know, in the cups they were playing the Premiership teams and performing well, but week in week out in the Premier League, it's a different kettle of fish. And I'd like to see them figure it out. You know, I think they're a big enough club to have some time in the Premiership, and I'd like to see them stay up. And you know, fingers crossed they can work it out.
The worst thing about it is nobody can say that, you know, too much is being said, Neomis, of teams coming into the Premiership and them not spending to strengthen. And then when a team does it, nobody can say they didn't try their hardest to stay in the Premier League.
But that's way too much. 20 players. Thing is, if they had signed 10, then I would have been like, okay, you know what? They had a starting 11 last season. They basically have gone out and bought another starting 11 to help like compete with the 11 that they had, and then it would have been like a lot better. Like I think the business Fulham has done has been like very good and fits in with the way how they play. But 20 players, like I mean, I remember like some of the best managers in the world, like Jose Mourinho, even Arsene Wenger said that like it should be no more than 3 to 4 players, or else it starts to destabilize the squad. And it's not just playing the team or the tactics; it's about the players themselves and how they are when they're not on the pitch. So unless you tell me that half of the players are going in their academy for a year to help like develop them, then this is bad. Like then not all of those players are going to work out. You'll be lucky to see maybe 3, 4.
Oh, Gary just said, oh, that's really good, Gary. That's a good comment. And that really does cover a lot of what you're saying. So they only had 15 registered players. So guys, remember when we had 18 registered players in January, and 4 of those players were academy players who had never played in a Premiership before? Swanson, Hutchinson, and you know, Pitino, and actually we didn't even use them because we only had 14. We only had 14 really first team quality experienced players. These guys had 15. So and that makes a little bit more sense to me now, Gary.
So how does that tell you? What does that tell you about their fixtures and the possibility of those players that they've signed, based on those 15 that they had already, getting into that first team to play? They need a deep League Cup run or FA Cup run, because
it still ain't gonna work. Because then that means that the 20 players that they sign are basically their new starting 11 and the bench and a little bit more, and those other 15 are just there to make up the other rest 25 and maybe some squad players, maybe some youth players in there. But no,
do they have a lot of injuries? I'm not sure how much injuries they've got, because if they've got injuries, that's maybe the reason why they have to ended up having to pay that acquires that many. Yeah,
I mean, to be honest with you, they've come from about 16 million as the winners, 14 million for where they got. So they've come from getting 40 million in a championship. All of a sudden, you're in the Premier League and you're given 94.1 million, and then that's not even including your TV revenue. So you've just been dumped a ton of money, and most of the owners keep the money and use it within the club or for themselves, or renovate because you have to have a certain quality of ground before you get into the Premier League. These guys just went, man, we're just gonna use that money to just let's get Lingard, let's get everybody in. We want to be a Premiership team because, guys, they were one of the biggest teams in the 80s. Mm-hmm. Look at their stadium. It's got European Cup winners in their stadium.
Yeah. And that's for me, it's good to see them back playing good football. I just hope they can figure it out and hit the ground running now in the Premier League.
Yeah. That's going to be key, or else they're going to go down and they're just going to have a ton of players that don't want to be there, which would be pretty sad.
So the best thing that can happen to Arsenal, guys, is, as I said, to understand that we've got bodies that we can use. You know, you talk about Ben White going into midfield, Tomiyasu going at centre-back. There are things that we can do in this team that will cushion the blow, but it would be just nice to get some players back to just calm the nerves a little bit, because if we're not at the top of our game against Man United at Old Trafford, we ain't going to win that game. And we never play well there to begin with. But Zinchenko just gives us a different level in our team. He hasn't played in the last 2 games, and we've looked a little bit ragged. We're not precise. The intelligence level in the team goes down a little bit. And with him in the team, we are just that much better. And it's funny, I'm talking about just one player, because I believe in this guy, guys. Zinchenko in the midfield is just magic. He's the unsung hero for me this season. He's the guy that no one's really talking about. Everyone's talking about Saliba. Everyone's talking about Jesus. Everyone's saying Martinelli's got 3 goals now and he's off to a great start. And all these different things are happening. But Zinchenko is where the magic happens, guys. This guy is just the truth, man. And I love him so much. He was the guy I wasn't thinking about in this whole mix. He was the last person that I thought would change the dynamic in this team. And looking at the performances, he's the guy that I'm just in love with. He's just a magician of the game. He's got everything in his locker, but his footballing IQ is way beyond anybody on that field. It really is. I talk about this every week. Intelligence, intelligence, intelligence. He's off the scale. And I love his game. And we're missing that. We're just missing that. At times in the last 2 games, we just haven't been smart on the ball. I loved when Nketiah came on against Villa. When Nketiah came on, I said to the guy, Reese, who sits next to me on the left, I said, I was screaming in his ears for 10 minutes saying, we got to get Nketiah on. And when Nketiah came on the field, I said to him, I bet Nketiah runs right into the corner flag and tries to keep hold of the ball. And as soon as he got the ball, what did he do? He ran straight down the flank, tried to keep the ball and won a throw-in, and then won a corner. And it's just that little, it takes a smart footballer to do smart things. And it's like, again, the NFL running out the clock and don't do anything stupid. Little things like that. It happens in football as well. You have to learn how to manage a game. There was an instance where we had strung 15 passes together at the end of the game when it was 5 minutes. The injury time came up, it was 5 minutes. Everyone's like, where'd you get 5 minutes from? And I said to them, guys, all we need to do is play possessional football. If we've got it, they can't have the ball to attack us. So let's just keep possession. And some nice little passing all around Eddie Nketiah. It was all around Eddie. He picked up the ball, dropped deep, came into the box. At one point, he had a run through. Do you remember? He had a through ball, which he had one of them resulted in a chance.
Yeah, and I think for that, it's the directness, and that's confidence. We're talking about earlier on, Nyamis, about Saka in those positions. Well, you've got pace, you've got body strength, you can shoot. So that second chance that Apollo was talking about, he ran through the middle and he was looking to link up with Martinelli. Martinelli's making runs, decoys, and then he had a shot. So that's showing that there's a player that's come on the pitch. He's confident in his ability. He's got instructions, hold up the play, take it to the bar line. But you know what? Eddie had the crowd behind him shouting, Eddie, Eddie.
Yeah.
He was going at Villa. And that's what you need. When a player is mentally in tune in the game, what he needs to do. And that was great to see.
And you guys, 2 years ago, all you guys were all teasing me about the Dwight York and Andy Cole, because I've always seen it in his game. But people are just now starting to see his skill set. And for me, I'm looking at a player who's actually improved because I know what he can do in the box. But outside of the link-up play and, and the crossover ball and the accuracy of his passes and the holding of the ball, playing with his back to the goal and just the crossing passes. I've never seen him do that before. He's growing. His game is growing. But guys, we're just going to have a look before we go. We're just going to have a look and see what the transfer deadline did to the Premier League as a whole. Now, you can see here, guys, it is shocking. It's in a year where people are struggling to pay their energy bills. There's an energy crisis coming out of a pandemic and everything, gas has been shut off everywhere. Look at this, 2.12 billion. That is, and guys, that's not even improved the figure by a little.
It's almost double.
It's a lot.
From last season as well.
Guys, it's like 25% more. You can see here 2017 where it was 1.49 billion. We've beaten the best figure by over a quarter, by 25%. It's not even close, guys. But this is because of the pressure of winning. There's so much. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, I look at some of those players who have contributed to that figure, and I think Liverpool have done well in getting hold of Darwin Núñez. You set his feet. He's a menace. He can score. You look and think, okay, Anthony, United has spent 90 million on.
United have spent $250 million. They've spent 250 million.
You look and you think, is it really money that they need?
They haven't even improved, mate.
Or is it a case of tactics? And as I'm saying, this is where sometimes the Premiership gets a bad name, and we pay for it in transfers because we spend money easy. We get it and we spend it.
This is terrible. This is
guys. Neomis, you can see COVID here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Were we making up for last year? It seems to me that last year we weren't able to do a lot because of the TV rebate. Let me remind you guys, 38% of the TV rebate money had to be paid back. And that's never happened in the history of sports. When a TV company gives you money for TV rights, that's your money. This is the first time in any sport in the world that BT, Amazon, Sky was actually asking for the money back because they weren't able to facilitate the games. All the games had to be live and had to be restructured around, and it spoilt the lucrative deals. And so they were in their right to ask for money back because they weren't getting what they paid for. So that had to happen. And that's the reason why you had all this stuff with players had to cut salaries, and they were trying to offload staff and furlough, and all this stuff was going on because you structure your business model on your budget. And when your budget is being stripped, you're like, hold on, what's going on here? Our operating costs are supposed to be 180 million. Now it's 140 million. So if I don't shave some money off somewhere, I won't be able to keep my football club alive. So it was all that kind of foolishness that was going on last year. So my question, Neomis, is, are we seeing this bump here at the bottom because we couldn't do anything last year as a whole?
I think that's a fair assumption, but that red line, that spending, for me, the difference between 2021 and 2022 is more than double, from not even 1.4 to 2.12 billion. Like that, that is ridiculous. And
in terms of player sales, Neomis, we actually matched the 820 million player sales before COVID.
Yeah, and you know what? Like, I think that's the part that's probably consistent, but it just says like, where's all the new money coming from? Like, I mean, because like in COVID, teams are losing money, so like, where is it all coming from? You know, like, okay, that, like, I know they had the new TV deal. Like, you know, are people just kind of cashing in on the equity because, you know, they want to kind of make up for what they would have done, like, but that
because remember, just to be straight with that, the TV deal was supposed to end last season, and what they did is they extended it rather than give an increase. So they should have got more money. You guys know in the NFL and the NBA, the salary caps and everything go up each year and all of that stuff, and so do the TV rights. But BT, Sky, and Amazon, they kept a $5.1 billion deal in place and extended it for 2 years. So no team's got any more. You know, there's no more money in the game.
So that means that they must have used their own equity in the club to then go up and spend like this. But
almost every team will be reporting a loss.
Because I'd really like to see what are the ratios of that. Like, is it the likes of Forest? Like West Ham spent a lot as well. Like where is this all? Like, who really has been spending the most, like, out of that? Because for me, that's to double it, more than double it in a year.
Yeah,
that just looks crazy.
And it's one of those things, Vincey, where it's the old Netflix versus Blockbusters. It's the old Woolworths versus your superstore being able to do everything. Is if you stand still, you're losing. If you know, the only way your business is going forward.
We've got spam in the chat.
Oh, let me sort that out quickly. Right, okay, yeah, that's gone. Yeah, it's one of those things where to be a progressive business, you have to keep moving forward, and the pressure is on everybody. So if you've seen as not spending, then you've seen as your chairman, your CEO, your shareholders, and your manager and your technical director. Everybody's going to be, you know, we're going to get relegated. Why? Why are we going to get relegated? Because everybody around us is strengthening, and we've still got the same team. Well, then let's spend some money. Then that's what seems to be happening. It's the pressure of trying to keep up with the Joneses. And that's shocking for the game.
I think it's showing that top four clubs are spending ridiculous money to try and give them a chance to get top four. You've got teams spending ridiculous amount of money to stay in the Premiership, and some teams are having to spend money just to get them back to a level field to give them a chance. They you know, there's a plethora of teams who have got good management, good tactics, players returning from injury and so forth. So how they performed last year, they may perform better this year. But as Naomi says, you've got to look at those teams who have really gone over and above and spent a ridiculous amount, and to look at their chances of are you going to get top four? Do you have a team tactics and set up to give you a good opportunity? Because that figure is, I think we've been prudent as a club, Arsenal, in how we've gone about doing it. I don't think we've been outrageous, but there's some clubs that's just been just absolutely disgusting with the money, and it's, you know, if that doesn't yield the results at the end of the season, you know, you've got the flip side of, okay, well, merchandise, that's how they make a little bit of money back on that, but that's not enough in comparison to how much has been spent right now.
Yeah, James has said Arsenal didn't want, there's the key word, want, to buy any player again. They did, but Aston Villa didn't want to sell. I think Cam is saying it here. Said James, we did, but we just couldn't land Luiz. We did want to buy a player, but the team just wasn't selling. And then the argument there is, well, he's not the only player available, but I think he was a player available that they trust. And there's a key word, guys, here. We talk about a couple of the guys have mentioned they're only buying players who are Brazilian or ex-Manchester City and whatever. I don't care. I don't care. And the reason for that is I'd rather buy Brazilian international and Manchester City players than buy Blackpool players and players who play for Morocco. Yeah? No disrespect to those teams, but Brazil's one of the top 2 or 3 teams in the world. And Manchester City have won 4 out of the last 5 Premier League titles. So I don't think any fan should be complaining about where we're buying our players from. I've got no problem with that word. If you want to buy Manchester City players all day long and Brazilian internationals, all to the power. Yeah. But if you're gonna come around and tell me that you're gonna buy players from Timbuktu, international players, and then buy players from Tramway Rovers, then no, that's not happening. We ain't doing that. We ain't doing that, bro.
I just want us buying talent. I just want us playing players that have got who are young enough for their contract to still allow us money to, if we need to sell them at the end of that contract. I'm not bothered where they come from. They've just got to have that ability that we need in the team. And I look and I understand why Arsenal went out and bought Pepe. I'm a little bemused as to how we've got to the stage where he's now out on loan, and we look at the players who we've now got in the team, and we could do with a Pepe who was productive for Arsenal right now coming off on the bench. We could really do with a player like that. It's not about going out and getting another player and hoping he's going to perform like Pepe. And these are what I'm saying, these are the
Marquinhos.
You know, is he going to get that opportunity? Because
in Europa League,
I stop and I think, okay, if Smith Rowe's on the bench, Marquinhos is on the bench, Vieira's on the bench, and we need players to come on. I know Arteta's got a hierarchy of players who he's going to go through, and Marquinhos is not number 1 or number 2 out of those 3.
Yeah, I think they'll use them in some of the games in the Europa League, but make no bones about it, he wants to win the Europa League. And the only team,
that's what needs to be done.
That's a gate into the Champions League, so they are going to be taking that serious. So time will tell. Next week, Vincey, we will find out when we have our first game. We will see what team sheet he puts out, because there's a fine balance between putting a little bit near them in, which we don't have much of now. I mean, we have a solid squad that we can all agree. But are you going to put Marquinhos? There's a reason why you didn't put him out on loan. You had the choice. He could have gone out on loan.
So you're both saying that we stand a better chance of winning the Europa than getting top 4?
Yes.
I think so, yeah. I mean, obviously, look where the team are now. I mean, they're off to an absolutely amazing start, and it looks like they can do both. But before this season, I would have said the Europa League was our best chance. But now, looking at how the team's playing, and not just the team, but look how the fans are supporting the team. We're a different animal right now. I'm hearing other fans telling me they don't want to come to the Emirates and play Arsenal.
I think consistency is easier than winning a tournament. So as a European tournament is not easy to win, but consistency over a 38 game period with management, I believe we stand a better chance of getting top 4 with the squad we've got, and if we manage the games right in the Europa, will give us a chance. But I think our best chance back in the Champions League is top 4. It'd be great to win the Europa, but winning the Europa is not. There's a lot of fortune that goes into getting to the final of European competition. Getting top 4 based on a formation and a system, I think, and it should be, in my mind, an easier channel back into the Champions League. And as you said, we've started great. Last season, we lost out for some foolishness. And that's what I'm saying. You look at the squad that we had last season, and we had less players, and we lost out for foolishness. So this season, I'm looking and thinking, you know what? We should really get top 4.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the biggest thing that has surprised me this season is the fans. It is, you guys, that last night I was not any other week or game I would have just sat it out. I wouldn't have gone. But I went there just because I wanted to be a part of it. I knew I wasn't 100%. I knew I couldn't talk. I knew I couldn't shout or scream or cheer. I just sat in my chair and I was quiet, and everything around me was like being in the eye of a storm. I'm just sitting.
Yeah, Miss Man, it was. I went back to Highbury. I walked into and I took a video, and it's like. It's like the romance of Highbury, and then you walk to the Emirates right now. You sit in the stadium, you see a new influx of Arsenal fans.
Oh, you're hurting me on this, man. You're hurting them. You're hurting.
You know,
them.
you've got a drum there, clock in, guys. It's like as if it was a European atmosphere last night, and I'm looking, I'm thinking, wow, this is a new look Arsenal where. You know what? They're singing and singing, supporting the guys when they lose the ball.
Fulham scored, and the players put their heads down, and the fans just erupted. I was like, "What is this place?" It felt like Anfield.
Yeah. That's. I mean, I've gone to Anfield and watch Arsenal. I've sat in the Liverpool end, and I've had to suffer. So you know when they're behind you. Last night. Sitting there and I was like, wow, this was like Anfield.
Amazing.
And remember, guys, I have to state there's a lot of new fans in the Emirates. There's a lot of the old, as Keane would say, prawn sandwich brigade. A lot of that has gone, and they've given up their season tickets, and there's a lot of new fans. And I do want to point out something as well to our North London rivals over there at Tottenham, is you might have a bigger stadium than us by 1,000. But your 61,000 capacity, your average attendance is 56,000. Arsenal's capacity is 60,339, and our average is 59,800. So there's more people that turn up to the Emirates than what turns up to your. And in fact, we have the highest average in the league. The highest average in the league.
Buzzing, man.
Yeah, I will try and get some of those numbers and punch it through to you guys on the forum later on. But you know, we've got more support. It's mad what's going on right there now. Resty says, Pedro Neto, please sign for Arsenal. Oh man, that would be the dream. But guys, look, I'm going to leave you with some positive notes. And I will say this, because you know me, guys, always glass half full. Always looking at things on the positive side. I will say that the injuries might not be as bad as we think they are in terms of Zinchenko will be ready. He's ready now, and Partey's a precaution. And what I can say to you guys is we have 13 games to play until the summer transfer market, until the winter transfer market after the World Cup. 13 games in the league, and that's not a lot. That's not a lot. And then they're going to try and do something again in January, because a lot of these targets they didn't get are going to be even lower valued. And not just that, is the likes of Leicester City and Aston Villa would have found out what the implications of not selling a Tielemans or a Douglas Luiz will have on their team. Whether those guys have hindered the whole experience and the lack of commitment because they've already told you they want to leave, or whether they've benefited those teams. And Arsenal will recuperate that, and they'll come back in the new year. It will be a lower value, and if they get something done, they get something done. But the biggest thing is that I would like to see a loan go through, because a loan is hardly any monetary commitment. You've just saved 5.2 million a year, 100 grand a week on letting Bellerin go. So you have money to facilitate a loan. Yeah, he's not the only one that's gone. They're literally all gone out the road. Maitland-Niles has gone. They're literally all gone. So your wages, which you have already done a tremendous job on, and I've given you kudos for that every week, but you're even in a better position than you was before, because literally all the deadwood is gone, which gives you more clout in terms of what you do to your team. So so that's the only thing I could say to you guys leaving here for tonight.
I've got two questions. First question: in these next, I don't like this number 13, but it is what it is. Are we going to remain invincible during these 13 games?
Oh no.
And B, will we remain in the top 4 at the end of these 13 games?
That's the key. I think we could. Look, first of all, guys, Spurs don't win at the Emirates. They don't. And that's the 9th game. I'm only concerned about Liverpool. I'm not concerned about Spurs, because Spurs, we don't win at their place and they don't win at our place. That's how it's been. The last time we won there was the Riziki Rocket. And that was probably 2014 or 15.
Yeah. So draws, we can get away with some draws in some of these games. That's what I'm saying. I know that the name Invincible is like, well, no, don't say it. But let's be real. Our defense are playing good.
Oh wow, I was right. 2014, Riziki Rocket. That was the last time we beat Tottenham at their place.
Yeah.
So that's 8 years we haven't won there,
and we haven't drawn yet. So it's not out of the wildest dream, Tom Ashton, to be 100% correct, where we're going to win every game.
Cabrera says, please, what is the situation with Douglas Luiz come to Arsenal? We have offered 3 transfer bids for him, and Aston Villa are not selling the player for any amount. They were true to their word after the first bid went through, and they'd rather die on an island with what they've got, because they're so desperate to stay in the Premier League. What made it worse was that they just didn't have any time to replace him as well. But they're going to end up losing him for next to nothing. If it keeps them in the Premier League, it would have been the right decision to do. If the form goes and they get relegated, well, they've just lost 25 million. So Hanumi says, is 13 games including FA? No, those are just league games. Those are just league games, my friend. Not including FA Cup, not including everything else. So there's 13 league games. You'd think that he'll work some rotation into the FA Cup and Carling Cup games, and try and rest some of the players. So it's just 13 league games coming up from now till the new year. So it isn't a lot, guys. It isn't a lot. We're already in September, so we've got 3 months to go before we hit Christmas. And it's we're going to be right back at this again. So I wouldn't worry too much about it, guys. We just have to have faith that the squad will deliver, and it is a good squad, guys. It's a really good squad filled with some really good, intelligent, impactful players, and guys are coming in and just showing their mettle. And very few of the guys have come in and done a bad job, and that's what I like. Look at the level. What somebody mentioned in terms of when the level rises, then the players rise their level. We've seen it with Xhaka. We've seen it with Sambi. So what a joy it must be for Saliba to come in and play for this team, because he's gone from finishing second in La Liga, making the Champions League. He's come to the Premier League now, and his team is unbeaten on top of the league. You imagine how good it did. Them guys were talking about the picture on his face when Gabriel scored against Fulham, and the text was, "Does this guy look like a guy who wants to leave the club?" He must be over the moon, and the fans love him. They're singing his name every single game. So I'm loving this. How long Thomas Partey injury to say? It's not an injury, it's a precaution. And they're going to rest him for 2 weeks. He just needs rest. Because they felt a tingle at the top of the thigh. and that's where the problem's been twice before. So it isn't. He's not out for 3 or 4 months like previously before. This is just a precaution, and he could be back in a matter of a couple of weeks. Yeah. So that's it from me, guys. Thank you for everybody who's watching the podcast. Look at 70 people watching, 90 people on Twitter. My God. And Facebook, we've got 19 people on Facebook. So listen, big shout out to all of you guys. Really enjoyed your company for tonight. Neil, Miss, and Vincey, thank you for staying with me. Honestly, I couldn't have done it without you two guys. I probably would have collapsed on the floor.
Oh,
yeah, we don't want you doing this on your own in this situation, Apollo, man.
I've got my second wind now, so
that's what we hear. So, just take your health first, man. Seriously, health first.
Yeah.
Family, then Arsenal. You know what I mean?
So before I go, Neomis, where are we going to finish this season? Now I know you said. Let me just.
I said 6.
Yeah, you did. Remember they were having a go at you, wasn't they?
I said 6. I'm only prepared to move that up to 5th.
So shall I officially do that on the phone? Nabil's gonna hate me. Nabil's gonna hate me because I told him you can't change anything,
Yeah, I'll officially move that to 5th.
All right, okay.
For me, I still think that the Europa League is our best way, because I think that the competition is so high, and when you look at the spending, for me, though, like how we lost it last season, again, fine margins, like that's all it took. What we were 1 win away, and you take any team, Palace, Southampton, Brighton, that would have been it. We would have been in there, and I think we need a little bit of good luck in the Europa League in terms of the Champions League teams that drop down. If everybody at the Champions League level plays like how they should do, we won't get any surprises. And then the only team we have to worry about is Man United in that Europa League. That's it.
Because I tell you what, Vincey, looking at the table now, Tottenham are in 3rd place with 11 points. Well, West Ham should have won in that game. And when they played Chelsea, they were lucky to get a draw. They were lucky to get a point, which means that they would be already on 9 points if that didn't happen. Arsenal in the last 2 home games, the 3 points weren't guaranteed for us, and we got out of it by the skin of our teeth. So we gained 4 points by what happened with Fulham and what happened with Villa. So it's just we're getting the rub of the green at the moment, guys. Sunday is going to be the big factor, Vincey.
Yeah, and I think this is the thing. We started well, but there's an area where I'm looking to think, we've brought in Jesus. Okay, we're creating chances. I'd be more happier if we were scoring more goals. Yeah, and not being in those situations where we're in those last 2 games. Those 2 situations remind me of the back end of last season. Yeah. And, if, as I did say this, my biggest worry is if teams shut out Jesus or make it hard for him, kick him about, and he doesn't get the rub of the green, how are we going to score? Do we need to score? Do we need to score 2, 3, 4 by taking our chances? And if we don't take our chances, that's where we become vulnerable to the other teams who have, Spurs have not even started properly yet. But look at once Kane and Song get going, they can score goals, and they can score goals.
I think Kane's got 4 goals in 5. Song is nowhere.
Yeah, but they can go up against Man City and feel they can get a result, or go up against Liverpool and feel get a result, or Chelsea, whereas we thinking, and this is the thing. If we take our chances, because we are creating chances, we'll be in a very good position. As I said at the start of the season, I think 3rd would be a great achievement.
It would
for us. I'm still hoping we can do it, but we've got to start taking our chances, man, making it easier, because nervous energy can change a good team into an unlucky team.
Here's what I think is going to happen. I think Saka is his form's going to come in, and he was our top scorer last season, and he ain't even hit the back of the net. And he's had chances. Believe me, he's had chances. He just hasn't had the rub of the green. I think he'll start scoring, and I think Nketiah will get more minutes at some point. So I think there's still more goals in this team, guys. And as for Jesus, he's just a threat every time he's on the pitch.
Love White.
Yeah, for real. So that's it, guys. That's it for tonight's stream. Thanks for everybody who's joined us. Don't forget, everybody, to hit the like button. Really important for you to hit the like button. That doesn't cost you anything. There is a giveaway at the moment for a free Arsenal away shirt. All you have to do is make sure that you put a donation into the channel before the end of October, and your name goes in the prize draw. And then we'll do a prize draw on at the end of October to talk about who the winner is going to be. So you can win yourself a nice away shirt, and that's advertised on the channel at the moment now. So listen, thanks to everybody joining, myself and Neomis and Vinci, and we're going to be back hopefully tomorrow with a preview of the Man City game. And then we'll cover that off at the weekend. We'll be doing
United game.
Yeah, United game. And we'll be doing the watch along for that. So I'll speak to you guys later, man. Big up yourselves, everybody. Nice one, man.
Okay, enough love.